Hi, welcome. Paul here. Let's talk about someone starting off in their mixing career and you want to learn to mix your own stuff, or you want to become a mixing engineer and work with other artists, and you're trying to figure out the best way to get good, and you want to figure out the best way to get fast. Instead of bombarding yourself with countless videos, here I am making a video, right? Bombarding yourself with countless videos, reading articles, signing up for master classes and all this stuff, the major thing that you can do is mix. That's all you got to do. Mix and show up every single day. And the key is, all the knowledge in the world will help to a certain degree. It's kind of like reading self-help book after self-help book after self-help book. Sure, there's vital information that can unlock certain things in psychologically, the way you see life or the way you see your path and how to make decisions and how to not procrastinate and all that stuff. But the thing is, the thing that really separates the people that really happen in their work is showing up every single day, having the discipline to just whittle away at it and taking chances and trying new things and coming up with new techniques that maybe you hadn't thought of before, and learning the tools that it is that you use. And that's another thing, just having way too many plugins. Because what I found, even in my own work, is that through over-analysis and too many options, you reach a state of paralysis. So over-analysis really does lead to paralysis, and you just don't know. It's kind of like looking at too many tracks in a session. You're looking at a session, a mix that has over 100 tracks, and you're dealing with 100 tracks. It's too much. So what I would say when you're coming up the ranks is to have the discipline to mix every single day. And the beauty of that today is that with digital audio workstations, I work in Pro Tools, when you can just open a session, I mean, that used to be a major investment to be able to show up at a recording studio every day and mix. And, if you were fortunate to have a gig at a recording studio that was busy, yeah, sure, you had access to be able to sit behind a console and mix and work away every day. But did you have the time to do that? Were you free to do whatever you wanted? Probably not. You learned some stuff, but there's a huge difference between, say, assisting somebody in the hot seat, even though you're sitting 2 or 3 feet away from them. There's just a huge world of difference between being able to be in the hot seat and the pressure to do what you need to do versus just assisting somebody in that position. But now, when you just basically can do your digital audio workstation in your laptop and have the freedom to do things over and over and over, a new song every day, that's going to get your chops up way faster and way sharper than signing up for another class or reading someone's article or going on Gearspace and seeing all the techniques and stuff that people are doing. Do the work. And the thing is, when you're just starting out, the key is to get your mistakes out of the way early so that when you do have opportunity, you're ready. Because people say, oh, well, he was lucky or she was really lucky that she got this opportunity. Well, the bottom line is, being prepared and ready when that opportunity comes up, you're not going to fumble because you'll have the experience. So make your mistakes early in your career, alone, or with new bands that you find. When I was starting out, I would go out to the clubs and I would find a band and I would just go up with them after their set and I said, you guys are awesome. I got to get you in the studio. And I would take them into the studio and I would do stuff. Now, if you want to be a mixing engineer, you're able to easily get somebody to send you a session to mix, okay? And although working for free sucks, it's great to charge anything, just so somebody has some skin in the game. You want to be able to be in a position to mix so that you can show somebody, even if you just mix half a song for somebody, just to get that experience and to build up a clientele and to get the trust within a client and you. Once you gain someone's trust in what it is you do, you can mix even bolder than you are. And by the way to stand out is to mix bold, to not mix safe. So many of the records today, it's people coming up especially, everything is so safe. Nothing is sticking out. Nothing is really bold, and people don't take a chance. They just want everything proper. Well, when nothing sticks out and everything is just EQ perfectly and everything is fitting together just seamlessly, most times than not, that's boring. You do not want to mix boring. So take the chance when you're coming up the ranks, and not only are you mixing in a way that is right and learning your gear, in the case of using a DAW, you're using plugins. Take chances. See what happens. Even now, when I'm mixing, a lot of times I will go past the point of being good to a mix kind of sucking, because I'm looking for the breaking point. How far can I push something? How crazy can I get? How much EQ can I make happen, or compression, or rides, before something just falls apart? And sometimes I'll have to backpedal and bring it back into a focused mix. And all that's great because I'm looking for something that's going to bring a wow factor and a dynamic energy and a boldness and a unique sound that's going to make a record really be unique, really stand out from the crowd. If you just blend in with the scenery, nobody's going to really care about what it is that you do. You need to take chances. You need to go for it. You need to go in. I mean, when you're a sailor, are you going to become a great sailor in calm waters? No, you're going to become a great sailor when you're out on the ocean where the waves are kicking your ass and tossing your boat every which way and whatever, and you're going to have to react and become brilliant on the high seas when your life's on the line. So take chances and do your thing. And luckily, you're going to connect with the right people, and you're going to win every time because you're going to have that. You would have made your mistakes early on in your career. Here's another thing. As far as being comfortable working, I would say focus on 2 or 3 channel strips, or 2 or 3 equalizers, or 2 or 3 EQs, compressors. To me, 1176 world of compression, where basically everything is distorted and smushes everything into awesomeness. And then there's the whiplash style of compression, which would be more of a DBX 160, where things can just bam and slam and make things really spiky and snappy. There are all kinds of subcategories between them, but those are basically the 2 tools of compression that you're going to use. It's either going to be smeary sort of opto FET style stuff, or whiplash VCA style compressors. Get to know them. Use them. Use them in parallel. Use them way too much. Use them not at all. And see what it is you need to do. So for me, when I crossed over into working a lot into a digital audio workstation, for me it's Pro Tools, I use the Metric Halo channel strip. That to me is an incredible plugin. It's got, I think, 6 bands of EQ, which are not just locked to the certain regions. You can go from DC to light with that stuff, 20 hertz to 20K. So you can carve. It's got the Q. It's fully parametric, so you can do whatever you want. It also has one of the most musically aggressive compressors in it that you could use on anything from just compressing a vocal or instruments all the way to the stereo bus. So between that and my Sonox EQ and compressor, and what else was I using? I was using a tape plugin made by DUI. I don't know, DUY. I think a Spanish company, which I don't hear much about anymore. I was using them, and that would actually give me the analog flavor and saturation and depth and everything I needed in the box that actually allowed me to do competitive mixing all in Pro Tools where I didn't have to be sitting behind a Neve or an SSL. It was great. And I was able to, at that time, this would have been like 2003, 2004, budgets were changing, things were just kind of going in a direction where it was like, well, if I want to keep things going and make a budget fly, I better get it so somebody doesn't have to spend $2,500 or $3,000 a day in a recording studio. So I dove in and I built my chops up on that stuff, and I got it going pretty quick. And my earliest digital mixes were not that great. And I had a long way to go, but I learned quick, and I figured out what it is I had to do to make things really happen. Get to know those. Get to know them so well that you no longer need to think about them, because it's like a great actor preparing for a role. If an actor that an actress portraying has a certain accent and has a certain gait in his walk or a limp or something and has an attitude, they get those technicalities out of the way completely so they don't have to think about it anymore. Now when you're mixing, you can mix freely because you've done the homework, and because you've done all that deep homework through experience and through mixing every day, making your mistakes early, now you can not even think about it. Now you're painting. You're painting, you're feeling, you're not thinking, you're not concerned, you're not worried, like, you're not telling yourself stuff like, I'm not a good mixer, I need to hire a mixer. Well, sure, hire a mixer. They're great. If you get somebody great to work with, that's wonderful. But if you're wanting to mix your own stuff, or you just want to see what happens, go for it. Go for it and get the experience under your belt that you need to make things happen, and compare your mixes to your favorite recordings. There's no reason why you shouldn't be comparing and putting yourself under the gun, coming up the ranks early on, making mistakes because you want a humbling experience. Get a mix and you go, this is really happening, whatever, and then you go out to your car and listen to it and you go, wow, why did I just shatter the back window? Or why is this not as clear as something else? Or why is this not as analog sounding as something else? Because as you chisel away at your career and at your mixes, you're going to get better and better and better. But show up and have the discipline to make yourself sit down. The other thing is, don't be cautious about the moves that you make. Go for it. Grab EQs and dramatically turn things around. When I was coming up, people would look at the SSL that I'd be mixing and they go, that looks all messed up. But that's not what it's supposed to look like. That's extreme. What are you doing? Whatever. And I would say, how does it sound? They'd say, sounds awesome. And I'd say, then who cares what it looks like? I'm not going to be including pictures with every album that's coming out with what the mix looked like. Go for it. Nobody cares what it looks like. As long as it sounds exciting and it sounds musical, go for the extremes. Go for the extremes. And when you're mixing, or when you're recording, I should say, don't go for the extremes on stuff like drum room ambience. Go for the extreme on another set of tracks. Don't destroy the room mics by trying something cool that you're excited about. Sure, go for it, but make sure you have the original tracks, the original mics duplicated on a track, on a stereo pair that you're not going to crush and not going to de-ess and not going to distort, because that takes away options from a mixing engineer from getting what it is needed to make them sound great and like the greatest room ambience you could ever hear. What else can I talk about? I guess that's it for this video. I've kind of hit a lot of different things that are kind of related here, but the bottom line is when you're coming up the ranks, put in the work, make the mistakes early, go for every genre of music you can possibly go for. Yeah, if you want to be a heavy metal head and just shoot for that, great. But the greatest mixers have a broad breadth of styles, and they've listened to different music. They've worked on different music. They've listened to everything from folk to heavy rock to Middle Eastern music. Orchestral music is beautiful. I love orchestras. I love classical piano. I love everything. And all the different shades within an orchestra can really feed your knowledge of music and dynamics. Okay? Because although everything now is the volume wars and loud and proud, you should get your chops going on how to make something sound amazing and dynamic, even though at the end of the day, your audio is going to basically look like not waveforms, but block audio. It should sound amazing within that. So I guess I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for checking this out, and kick ass. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.